Hello, welcome to the BCW Member Spotlight. I am your host, Linda Tyler, Vice President of Membership and Programs. The Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest and most diverse membership organization. We're proud to say that over 1,100 businesses are current and active members. I'm delighted to introduce and welcome our guest today, Steven Kla, Director of Communications and Creative Strategy for Berlin Productions, and Donville Collins, CEO of VCast Corporate Video Production. We're going to talk about the power and value of managing your brand and effective storytelling through video and marketing. This impacts every type of business out there. Gentlemen, again, we're so pleased you're here with us today. Let's take a moment to discuss your businesses. Tell me about Berlin Productions and VCast. Donville, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So VCast, we specialize at engaging emotions with video production.
I love that.
That's really our sweet spot, is in connecting to the people that our clients are targeting, and really connecting to them on a more emotional level, and help them to make an emotional decision, not a calculated decision.
Oh, good. Steven.
Hi, thanks for having me on the podcast today. Berlin Productions is a full-service marketing agency, so we work across different areas and we can help businesses with pretty much any marketing need, from advertising and branding to websites and interactive development to consumer promotions.
Wonderful. And tell me, that really dovetails into my first question. What do you think makes an effective and powerful brand?
I think there are a number of things at play to come up with a good brand. A clear brand identity is probably your first asset that you need to come up with. What's your brand's personality, for example? And in addition, your unique value proposition as well. I think having something unique to offer, or at least having a unique spin on what you offer, because odds are you have competitors, you're going to have to do something different in order to stand out and not just tell the same story everyone else is telling. And also consistency across your different mediums, so that your print and your video and your online presence all have a consistency to them. I mean, those are just some of the things that make a good brand.
That makes sense, especially the part about standing out. Whatever industry you're in, you want to say, this is what makes us special. This is what makes us really, really good. Donville, a powerful story is such an important component of marketing. And how do you do that through video? I saw a video last week that I was just sobbing. You know what I mean? It was 30 seconds, but it makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, so, I mean, even in relation to the branding and storytelling, storytelling is really all about connecting with people with the reason why even storytelling is a major thing and it's a big conversation now is primarily because that's what people remember. If sometimes when you're trying to tell someone about why they should do something or what's best, it's not as memorable as a story. So that's why the most memorable people are storytellers. The people that are able to drive a vision and get people to jump on board are people that are storytellers. The best ones are storytellers. And so if we can engage people, even in no matter what our services are, no matter what we do with storytelling, find the story in what you do. And sometimes we look at it very binary, but there's an emotional trigger to a lot of why people decide to buy into a service or decide to do something. And you got to find that emotional trigger and then play on that to everyone else that has the same emotional trigger.
That's a really, really good point. And it's creating that something really memorable, right?
Yes.
And we're visual people. I think in general, the world is very visual.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the bigger mistakes the two of you see when it comes to marketing? What should people try to avoid?
I think one of the things that I see happen a lot, a prospective client actually came to me just a few days ago. They're interested in developing a new website for their business. And the first thing that I noticed when I went to their site is it's beautiful. It's really very graceful in its design, but it is just a showcase of products. It is, here are your products and here's what they do. So what they're doing is they are focusing on features and not benefits. And I think that sort of ties in with the storytelling angle, because even if we're talking about a product, you have to weave some story into it. So it's, what are the benefits of this product? How can the product make you feel? What are the other gains that you have from this product? It's not just a list of specs and a lot of nice pictures. You even have to weave a story into that. So I think one of the biggest mistakes is just giving people features and not benefits.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I
I would
like
even add to that is that, just as you was mentioning, is when people are, when we're generally doing our branding and our marketing and things of that nature, we're always by natural nature just putting out what we do. And we like to say, this is what I do, as opposed to, this is how I can make you feel, or this is how I can impact you. This is the result that would be created for you. And if you take it from that perspective, then you engage a lot more people, because it's not about you, it's about them. And I used to tell people all the time, when someone lands on your website, for those first few seconds, what they're trying to figure out is, am I wasting my time? And same thing happens in video. So even when I bring new team members on, I say, look, we need to ensure that at the first few seconds of this video, whoever this is targeted to, they said, oh, this is for me. And we need to answer that question within the first couple seconds.
You're right. Why am I investing my money or my time or my resources? It's a really, really good point. And it kind of also, I think the next question, this sort of parlays into that, is I always say whenever I'm meeting somebody new, right, I look at their website and I look at their LinkedIn profile. What should people be doing to really keep those websites up to date, little and big?
I would say probably the most important thing, and it's funny because we've had mobile devices around a long time now, I would say at this point it's smart for most businesses to take a mobile-first approach to their website. Depending on where you look up the stats, we're at around 2/3 of all searches happen on a mobile device. Mm-hmm. So when you consider that people on a mobile device are going to end up potentially at your website, you want to make sure that mobile experience is perfect. That everything displays correctly, that it's quick, that you have quick access to the right information. It's something that gets overlooked. You still have a lot of people who are designing for desktop, and there are a few verticals where maybe desktop search is still more important in certain B2B situations. But for the most part, I would say take a mobile-first approach to your website and just make sure everything works properly and just gives people the best possible experience.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the other thing, and I'm thinking about my phone, and I've seen it both on my desktop and my phone, is when I see a video, when I open up a website and there's a video for a first, few seconds, that really packs a powerful punch, in my opinion. What do you think about adding video to websites?
Yeah, that's super important. I think Steve can attend to this too, as well as. I remember a few years ago. I don't know if the stat has changed now. You would more know in the data world or Google, but they had put out some information. Just the attention span of people. When someone lands on a website, if there isn't a video there, 80% of those people are gone.
Interesting.
Because they just don't want to necessarily go through all of the information.
It's kind of like there's a happy medium you have to reach, though, because I agree that video is one of the most effective ways to hook people. Yeah. But there's also a technical SEO component to a website where if it takes too long to load, then you're going to lose people. If your experience doesn't start within the first few seconds, people will navigate off. I mean, the statistics back it up. People are not going to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds for something to load. It needs to start, and it needs to start quickly. And Google also ranks, for search optimization, ranks sites on technical SEO. So if they feel that this is a slow experience on mobile, you're not going to come up as high in the results.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation we could spend another 30 minutes on, right? Effective SEO search, that really matters too. Yeah. Well, what do you think are some of the bigger trends in marketing that people should be paying attention to? And maybe if you're sitting here, you're a small business owner, you're thinking about, 2 priorities in the coming months, what do you think they should be, in your opinion, the two of you?
I think looking at, and I see businesses doing this more, and I love seeing it, is paying attention to the customer journey. Instead of just approaching your marketing as we need to sell, you have to look at all the different phases of the sales funnel, because you start with awareness of the product, making them aware that it even exists, and then the sell. How do you promote the features and build the interest? And then you move on to your next phase of hopefully, a purchase, make that experience as good as you can make it. And then you want to retain that business that you get. And I think sometimes businesses fall a little short of that. They don't really do a lot to keep the customer when that's actually a lot cheaper than finding another customer.
That's another great topic, which is customer service. We have a lot to talk about. Well, what do you think about? What are the trends you're seeing as well? Because you're right, Steven, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Donald, what do you think?
I think another big thing here is that communication of the other parts of the business or the other parts of getting the business done. It's so, for example, the content-driven part of the storytelling. There's a couple, like even what we're doing right now, podcasting, and that's great. And there's a couple of people that I even follow online on YouTube or through podcasts that they created a channel to keep eyes and attention and storytelling going besides simply, I'm only making this to sell you something. So that there's some other hook to getting people to stay engaged and establish trust in your ability and your knowledge in the field before you actually say, well, I'm asking for your business. So I think the trend I'm seeing, and I think it even showed even in the last few months with the election, I think the impact of podcasting and the trend of the desire for it. I think I was probably a late adopter to even listening to podcasts.
I was too. That's true. Now I'm addicted.
Now I'm addicted too. So it's kind of it's one of those things. I almost wonder. Yesterday I had a conversation with someone saying even if I was to get into it now, I'm almost a little bit late in the game. So it's almost looking at what's next, right? But this is still quite hot, and it probably has quite a few more because of the style of storytelling and authenticity that you can have with it.
And the conversation piece of it, too.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a part when you mentioned establishing trust. And I'd love both of you, your unvarnished opinions. I love testimonials. And you can do it both through video or you can do it through the written word. But that's the trust part, right?
Yeah.
If you have clients who can really share a powerful testimonial, that, I think, makes an impact. What do you two think about testimonials?
I think they're a great way of getting your information out. They need to be real and they need to be authentic. Unscripted, genuine opinions. But I think that's where, building up your brand advocates and catching them right at that mirth period of their purchase is when you start actually building them up as a brand advocate. And the more relationships you spend time building at that stage, the more people you're going to have who are willing to do a testimonial. Because the thing is, a lot of businesses, they can get 2, 3. You need a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say that I usually use the analogy of this. Like, I think a lot of us at this point talk that we shop on Amazon. And when we're shopping on Amazon, if the reviews are not good, we're not buying. And if there is no reviews, we wonder how long has this product been selling. So it's kind of that same thing is happening in a different way, but it's happening too with businesses. The material we put out there, the websites that are built, it's super important to the point where I tell clients, look, testimonials are super huge. That is your Amazon review.
That's a really good point. And I always think, too, it's kind of like word of mouth. There's nothing better than really good word of mouth.
Yeah.
And a testimonial is very much related to that.
Absolutely.
Google reviews are also tremendous, especially when it comes to local search. I'd say, to any business, get your Google reviews up, get the number of them up, and you obviously want them to be as positive as possible. But you want a nice, healthy number of Google reviews.
I even had, just the other day, a prospective client who he had us come in and he wanted us to get his quote, but he had his idea already of what kind of video he wants to produce. And we're like, look, we can do what you want, but if with the impact or the results that you want, that'll be best done from getting good testimonials, because people are going to listen, the people that you're targeting. If you can put out some videos of people saying what it is that talking about the impact that you had on their business, they're going to remember more than you talking about yourself.
Absolutely. And even, I think this is powerful. I want you to agree or disagree. Let me know what you think. I think occasionally when I've seen a bad review and I've seen how the owner has responded, and if they've responded in a really constructive, quick, positive way, that can turn my opinion around. I think even, taking all reviews, obviously you want the best reviews possible, but if you can then respond and handle to the occasional bad review, it's not crippling, correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think I know that I expect there's going to be a couple of negative reviews. If you, especially if you have a large volume of reviews, there's going to be a couple of people who are not happy. But seeing that their concerns are addressed effectively, to me, that goes a long way. And I think one of the key takeaways from that is try to take the debate offline. If you're a business that gets a negative review, try to get the conversation offline. Be respectful. Approach it like you're really trying to help, but invite them to connect with you offline instead of keeping anything going.
Absolutely. Really good point. And then addressing it. And if you're lucky, the person might even come back and say, I'm so happy my issue was resolved. Mm-hmm. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit today about AI and how that's impacting not just every business, but of course the marketing way. What do you love about it? Donville, we'll start with you. And then what do you not like so much about it? What are the challenges? Why don't we start with the good? What do you like about AI and how are you using it?
Absolutely. So we use it in different forms every day. I think definitely what I love about it is its ability to simplify the start of the work. And I say that deliberately because it's not a human being. It can do its best, but that leads me to the part that I don't like so much about it is it doesn't know the context. It doesn't know the details of what you might be asking it to do. But it is definitely a huge time saver to start it, to start a lot of the different tasks with AI. We're using it in different forms. So we're using it even in initial concept ideas about the storytelling. Mm-hmm. And sometimes for an organization or a client comes to us, if we can send the AI to look up the organization, what are the key point that they usually communicate. We'll do our additional pieces, add to it, take away from it, and things of that nature. And it's a good starting place, but you can't use it straight as is. It's usually an easy tell whenever it was AI generated.
So it can enhance, but it can't replace.
It can't replace.
Stephen, what do you think? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
I'm on a similar page to Donville about it. I think it's great. It certainly is a time saver with a lot of things. It can help generate outlines. It can help also boil things down to outlines and summaries and things like huge. That when it's a tremendous amount of information. So that's all good. From a visual standpoint, the generative fill features of things like Adobe Creative Cloud, which allow you to do different things in Photoshop and different things in Illustrator. I think that those are tremendous. But I think in terms of content, and that's such a big part of marketing, you really have to consider the input that you're giving AI. And there is an art and a science to it. It's actually called prompt engineering. You have to know just how to train AI to give you the results that you want. The more specific you are and the more detailed you are and the more nuance you can teach it, the better your results are going to be. And it's like Donville said, I can always tell when somebody just used AI straight. There's AI generators for LinkedIn content so that you can post regularly, but you should have something to say. You really need a point or something that you want to share, and build off of that and use AI for that. Not it doesn't replace coming up with ideas.
So the authenticity is so important, right? Mm-hmm. That is your voice or your company's voice that it's coming across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you think as well, I'm going to just talk about it for a second because I think you brought it up and it was so beautiful and important. Definitely quantity or quality over quantity, right? So posting thoughtfully, carefully, whether it's video or the written word, whatever you're doing in marketing, as opposed to doing it a lot, right? It's better to do fewer things, tell me if I'm wrong, that are really good and powerful and really share your brand or your message as opposed to a lot of just stuff you're throwing out there. Is that fair to say?
Quality should definitely
You're
be
right.
the bulk of your concern and frequency secondary. It's something to also consider. You need to be there versus not be there. But I think the quality of your content is going to be the thing that helps you the most.
Okay.
I definitely agree that it's quality too. Number one, I think the frequency is more subjective to the audience you're targeting. Depending on what it is, I think that in some cases the audience wants it more than another audience. Just like we were talking about with some audiences, they may require when they're looking at certain information, they want more details, and then there's another audience that doesn't want all of the details. They want it to be summarized. So I think it's depending on the audience in some cases about the frequency.
That makes sense too.
I think in advertising, you probably have to think a little bit more about the frequency because
Yeah.
people not familiar with your brand need to see it 5,
Absolutely.
6, 7 times, maybe
Before they
more,
buy.
before
Okay.
it registers.
Okay.
That's such a big point.
Very good points to talk
Sorry to bring it
about.
up so late.
No, but you're absolutely right. And you two have been amazing, and you've shared
you.
a lot. And I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you both for being here today. Do we have one from each of you parting pearls of wisdom before we wrap?
I would say probably approach your marketing with a plan. Don't just come up with tactics. Let's do a video. Develop a strategic plan. You may need help with that, but as long as you have a plan behind what you want to do, I think you have a greater chance of success.
I love that. And something for, map it out, right? 3-6 months. Donville, what do you want to share?
I would part with that a lot of us think less of ourselves in terms of being able to present ourselves to the larger, broad base of people, and we don't forget about that identity is in the difference in the way that you present, the way that your particular brand, even as a personal brand, is. And sometimes, say for example, if I'm quirky, people think, oh, well, I'm not the loud, big voice person, so I'm not the person. But you don't realize that you speak to a specific market in and of itself. So don't put yourself into a box of someone else. Is to really own your identity, i.e. your brand, and push it out.
Trust, authenticity, what makes us all unique. Those are huge components in marketing, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to talk to the two of you today, and thank you both for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
The BCW Podcast Network. Build, connect,